Hello everyone, I'm Catherine Biroy, your personal growth and business coach, and I'm here with just one mission, to help you do what you love and make your dream business flourish. Therefore, I'm bringing in experts to discuss with them certain topics, and I couldn't be more happier than today to have one of my dearest friends here with me. Tibor is a former architect turned lifestyle entrepreneur who, after following the conventional path of society for more than a decade, go to university, get a degree, get a good job, climb the ladder, save money, and retire, decided to think outside the box, and I love this the most, instead of trying to fit into that. He is a dedicated mindset and performance coach, certified as an Erickson Professional Coach, mostly fascinated by the human mind and its potential. Driven by a vision to make the world a better place, he founded Mindset Horizon to support high achieving, impact driven entrepreneurs, visionaries, and change makers to transform their mindset, realize their full potential, and execute on their dreams. To make an even bigger impact and inspire the masses, he decided to launch his own interview show, the Mindset Horizon podcast, where he interviews high performers, visionaries, coaches, and change makers who reveal their secrets of what it takes to have a disruptive mindset, pursue a passion, and live a meaningful life or purpose. Welcome, Tibor. How are you today?
Hi, Catherine. I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very honored to have you in my show.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. And first of all, I wanted to acknowledge you for creating this space for experts and interviewing them and giving this chance to have this conversation with you.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your story, transformation and going from the corporate world to the world of coaching and pursuing your passion.
Yeah, for sure. That's a story, I would say. So basically, a couple of years back, I was, as you mentioned in the introduction, I was working as an architect. So I studied architecture in Budapest, it's the capital city of Hungary, and at the end of the university, I decided to go and work in the technical field, which is basically I had two choices at the end of the university. Either go for becoming architectural designer or going and work in the technical field as a more like a civil engineer. So I went down that path, and the main reason was, I would say, basically because of the money. So I know that at that time, at least in Hungary, architects were very much underpaid. So I was like, okay, I'm going to choose the technical field because I knew that I was going to earn more money in that field. So I was working for an international company in Hungary that was quite okay. It was a great team. But after about 3 years of working there, I felt that I wanted more. So first of all, at that time, as I look back, it was more mainly about I wanted to work internationally. So I spoke languages. I could speak English very well at that time. I could speak German a little bit, and I was like I wanted to work internationally, use English, and this was one of my main desires at that time. And I had a great job, but I wasn't really fulfilled. So I basically wanted to move abroad because the second idea of mine at that time was that I couldn't imagine myself living in Hungary for the rest of my life. So I wanted to explore the world a little bit more, and I decided to move abroad.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I was thinking about Austria and Germany because they are very close to Hungary. And in Germany, I got an opportunity to move out there and work there as an architect. I was working in a very technical field. So the reason why I'm saying this is that I started to work in Hungary, in Germany, and after about 1 year, I felt that I'm very disconnected from the job that I was doing. So it was very technical. Um, I wasn't really interested in that field. I was basically drawing a lot, doing a lot of technical calculations. I was designing formwork for reinforced concrete structures. So it was like, I was like, how did I end up here? So, and the answer is, looking back from this point of my life, is that I think I chose money. So I chose this technical field because I knew that I'm going to earn more in that field. But I was disconnected in Germany, and I didn't really like, or I wasn't interested in the job that I was doing. So this was one of the triggers that actually led me to my personal transformation. And the second thing was, I put a lot of energy and effort into learning the German language because, as I told you, I was quite good at the German, at least I thought, because when I moved out there, I faced dialects and I didn't understand what people were saying. And in addition to that, I needed to learn a lot of technical words because I was using German at work as an architect, as an engineer. So it was crazy. So I remember, learning German during the weekends, and I put a lot of energy and effort into learning the German language. And as I was there, I was not really interested in the job, and I put a lot of energy into learning the German language. And I was like, this is really what I want. Do I really put that energy and effort into what I really want to create in my life? And at that time, these questions actually came up. And I didn't know anything about coaching or personal development. I just started to ask different kind of questions. And these questions were, so if I'm not interested in my job, what do I really want? Which direction do I want to go? Or is it architecture? Is it civil engineering? So I had these questions. And when I was thinking about these things, I was thinking in the long run. So 5 years from now, how do I see myself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Do I live in Germany? Do I work as an architect? Do I work for this company? So what do I do? And as I tried to answer these questions, I figured that I want to create my own business at some point in my life. And as after this realization, the big question came, so what's the business idea? And how do I transition from the corporate field to entrepreneurship? And what I basically did was a huge exploration. And this exploration was mainly about learning more about entrepreneurship. So I started to read business books, how someone can, start a business, and so on and so forth. As I went deeper into this topic of entrepreneurship, I stumbled upon these personal development books, and books about mindset and the psychology of success and achievement and human performance and happiness and all these kind of stuff. And I got really interested and, I would say, curious about this field. And I started to go deeper into this and explore more in this area of personal development. And basically, this is how I got into coaching. At that time, of course, I kept working 9 to 5. I was exploring and, developing myself. And after that, I took a coach training program. So this was a big decision, because before that it was kind of like an exploration and thinking about the business idea. And this is when I got in touch with Mindvalley, and I started to watch Impact Theory and these kind of stuffs, and listen to different kind of podcasts. And I took this coach training program, and at that time when I was doing this program, I already started to work and think about my business, and it was mainly a intuition or a deep inner voice when I felt that this is the path that I should follow. So I felt that this is something I could explore for the rest of my life, and it's going to it's going to never end, because this space, coaching and personal development, is something that is is a never-ending journey. So I was like, okay, this is good for me. For the rest of my life, I could explore, and it was really important to make this decision, because as I got into this coaching, and I did the training, I became more sure about this. And I think it's really important for someone who is listening right now that you have to take action. So you can think about a lot of things, what you can do, but you have to get a taste, you have to take action, and you will see if this is the way, and you can course correct as you are moving towards your dream. And basically, this became my obsession, this personal development, and this is how Mindset Horizon was born. And yeah, this is how I started. I started the website and everything, and the podcast, and this is what I do now.
Awesome. I love this story because you know that we share very similar story. I also speak several languages, but I was a programmer. So there is nothing more technical, like, and learning all those programming languages and doing all that in an international corporation and huge systems and design and all of that, it was like, but this is not me. You lock me in the office and you want me to create something, and just, I need to talk. I need to go out. I need to speak to people. So I really understand those pain points and the transition and all of that. And I only say that brave people can make that decision. And, someone will say, this is crazy. Someone will say, just do it. And I would say just do it, because only those who really took action and succeeded understand how that's powerful, because you actually have control of your own life, of your own time. You can choose with who you want to work. And the most beautiful thing, you do what you love. It doesn't feel like work. And you connect with amazing people. And when you work with them and establish all those connections, it's just, if you go alone, you will go fast. But if you go with people who are like-minded and you're helping them in achieving their goals, you're building an empire, baby.
Right? Absolutely. And just one more thing I actually wanted to mention is really important, that somehow I had this deep inner voice, because as I mentioned, I was thinking in the long run, right? So I was thinking about this business idea, and I was like, I want to create something. I didn't want to create a startup and, sell it after 2 years or 5 years. And I don't know. I was thinking in the long run. And in order to think in the long run, I had to come up with a vision, with a long-term vision. And I felt that I somehow need to know more, to know myself even more, which is the personal development part. And what I wanted to mention is your values. For example, you mentioned flexibility or freedom or one of them. So these were my driving values at that time. I wanted to create flexibility and freedom. My family was really important, and I landed in a completely different country, and basically I was there just for the money, to say so. And I was like, how could I create this flexibility and freedom in my life so I could, if I want, live in Hungary or wherever I want in the world, right? And so this was one of my driving values, or some of them. So freedom, flexibility, creating my own reality, and like-minded people, and all these things that you mentioned. Yes,
we are sharing the same values, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So
absolutely.
How can you train your brain for success? Where is that hidden power, actually?
Wow, it's a really great question. There are different aspects of it. So what I actually used, and to some extent I mentioned, one of the first things that I suggest people do is creating a compelling vision. Mm-hmm. So, a compelling vision aligned with your core values. And that's why I talked about values, because it's really important to know who you are, what are your values, what's really important to you in your life. And, you can have a vision in different areas of your life. So it can be work, business, it can be relationship, it can be wealth, it can be, you know, whatever you want. But this is having a compelling vision. And you know, when you create this vision, this is not enough just to create this vision, but this is really important to have this base and foundation for your life and for your mind. Because once you have this vision aligned with your core values, you can practice it every day and think about it every day. What do I mean by that? You know, I have a vision for 5 years, 10 years from now, and you can chunk it down. And basically, day by day, you can work on this vision. And how you train your mind for success is having this vision, you know, and doing this mental rehearsal. What I call visualization, or what we call visualization, is what I do actually during meditation, for example. So, you know, I have a not guided meditation, just a simple music, and I sit down for 10 or 20 minutes, really in the morning. This is one of my practices. So I really like morning routines. This is what I implemented in my life in the last years. You know, I just sit down and I think about these pictures. They are pictures, they are flashes. It doesn't have to be really clear or specific, but you're doing this mental rehearsal, this visualization. And there are different ways to do that. I use two techniques, which is, you know, I see myself from an outer point of view. When I visualize myself doing something, I can see myself from an outer point of view, which means, you know, from a camera position, so to speak, that you look at yourself, you're doing something somewhere. This is what we call in coaching, this is the dissociated point of view. And you can step into the second part is you step into your body, which is the associated point of view, and you start to feel that moment where you are. So, you know, you start to see, feel, and hear the things around you. So sometimes I imagine myself, you know, speaking on a stage, and I can, you know, just have a look from an outer point of view, from the audience. Maybe I'm looking at myself, or, you know, I step into my body and I feel as people are there, and you know, I hear people doing something, or, you know, so this is one thing you can do, train your brain for success. This is mainly reprogramming your mind to think about what you really want in the future. This is a vision, right? This is the vision part. And every day, if you do this, you are going to train your brain to look for information and opportunities and people that can help you make this vision a reality. And there's actually a really interesting term of the brain. It's called, or part of the brain, it's called the RAS. It's the reticular activating system of the brain. And basically, this is responsible for filtering out information from your external world based on what's important to you and what you focus on the most. And this is really important because this RAS is basically looking for evidence. So you might have heard about this, that the brain is looking for evidence. So the RAS is looking for evidence to validate your beliefs, to validate your thoughts. So the things that you think about are becoming your reality. So this is, I think Dr. Wayne Dyer said, what you think about is what expands. So basically, the main thing is reprogramming your brain, and what you think about is really important on a daily basis. And if you are, you know, if you have this vision and this clear vision, what I really want to say is that if you have this vision, you are defined by your future, and you are defined by your vision. If you don't have this, you know, you are on a you are defined by your past or your present, and you know, those thoughts and experiences are coming up day by day, and you know, we have around 60,000 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them is the thoughts coming from the past. So what you can do basically is train your brain to think about new things, to think about the future, to think about positive outcomes. And you can train your brain with mental rehearsal, with visualization. And this is what I do on a daily
I
basis.
guess you will not be surprised that I share with you that I use the same practice just at the evening, because I'm much more of an evening person. I like to sleep a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, that definitely changed my life, and I can absolutely support you in this. And I wish my audience to hear this. This is a
yeah,
crucial part of success. If we know
yeah,
a vision, and if we are rooted to it, it will keep us grounded. We will
yeah,
know where we are going. We will know how we're doing that. And actually, we don't
yeah,
even need to know how things will happen. We will
yeah,
build one step at a
yeah,
time, every
yeah,
step that we are making, and really get to the point where
yeah,
what we actually wish for ourselves. I believe there are few people who were saying that there were so many leaders in the history who had no idea, but they made the first step.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you have
absolutely.
the idea, and you are passionate about that, and you are rooted to that,
Mm,
then everything else just, go away
mm,
from you, and the positive things come to you, the right people come to you, which will
yeah,
help you expand, which will help you grow.
yeah,
And that's the healthy way of not just growing a business, but actually
yeah,
living. So thank you so
absolutely.
much for sharing this. This is
Yeah,
enormously high value, which I really appreciate. And I'm doing this
yeah,
for several years now, and it definitely
yeah,
changed my life and my perspective of life and all of that.
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so
Thank you.
tell me a little bit about your vision and the mission about Mindset Horizon and your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm glad to answer this question. And there are two main focuses right now with Mindset Horizon as it's growing, of course. Uh, one of the first, one of the focuses is the podcast, and this is really important. I think it's going to grow in the future as well. So my vision is that I'm going to have this podcast, and I want to build a team around this podcast basically. And it's a weekly show, so I interview mainly coaches and personal development professionals. So there are some therapists, there are some psychologists as well on the show, but
Mhm.
also entrepreneurs who became very conscious about how they succeeded or how they built a business, and they can talk about it. But I very much focus on the mindset or the personal development part of creating or building a business. This
Mhm.
is really important, what I want to focus. And I follow my curiosity when it comes to the vision and the mission. um, in the introduction episode of the podcast, I talk about curiosity, which is one of my superpowers, because this is really something that leads to your passion, and your passion can become your purpose basically. And my curiosity is around the mind and the human potential. So I came up with this vision statement for Mindset Horizon: making the world a better place by unleashing human potential, which is, the podcast is everything about this. Like, how can we just reach our full potential and become the best version of ourselves? And I very much focus on the mind. So this is the podcast, and I'm really excited all the time when I have these
Mhm.
people on the podcast, on the show. And the second focus is basically the coaching part, which is individual coaching that I do. It's mindset coaching and
Mhm.
podcast mentoring. I got very familiar with how to start your own podcast, and how to grow and monetize a podcast. So these are the focuses right now with Mindset Horizon. And as I mentioned, and very interesting, a couple of months back, I had this vision. It was just a flash, before I started the podcast, that I saw people on my website, and at that time I didn't know if they were team members or partners. And
Mhm.
it turned out actually that they were guests because they are on my website. And now, as I look at my future, with Mindset Horizon, I see a team. And first of all, 5 people, 10 people, and I see a team around this vision. And what I got really interested in, Catherine, and I want to talk about this or excited about, is this concept of creating personal development content. And it's coaching and teaching at the same time. So, when we create videos or when we create a podcast, it's more about teaching. It's more about talking about something. Coaching is more like asking questions and using different tools to assist someone to move towards their goals. And so I got really excited about creating content, personal development content, and combining this with technology, meaning sharing this on social media and using different kind of mediums, such as a podcast or videos or something like that. So I have this vision for Mindset Horizon for the future. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Tell me a little bit, who are people you're working with? Who are your ideal clients? You mentioned who you are interviewing in your podcast, but around your coaching mindset and the podcast coaching also.
Yeah. It's a really great question. So the people I actually work with when it comes to coaching were, interestingly enough, coaches, because they wanted to work first of all on their business. So it was kind of like a business development support, how to position yourself, how to put yourself out there on social media and content marketing, because this was the path I was following. So I was focusing on the online space very much. But when it comes to coaching, I focus on people who are in a transitioning phase from the corporate world to entrepreneurship, and people who wanna have an impact, who have a deep desire of creating something purposeful and meaningful in a form of business. So this is connected to yourself as well, like who you are, to your purpose and passion, and turn this passion into a business. So these people are, struggling in a corporate field, and they want to get out from there and create something on their own. And this comes from my past, that I really want to support those people, because I think, there are a lot of them who are just there having some kind of, I don't know, fears. They play small, or they are in survival mode, and they don't have the courage and the mindset to step out of that survival mode and corporate field. This is one thing. And the other thing is, I want to help high achieving entrepreneurs with the mindset. So basically with the coaching, I want to help them to cultivate a mindset where they can move forward and have a bigger impact in their business.
Awesome. I love that. I love everything about your coaching and everything you do. Now we're going to have some fun. Huh? I know you are familiar with this part.
You.
So not just for our audience, but also for ourselves. And I'm going to ask you a few very specific questions where you will show out your expertise. And you, my darling friend, have 10 seconds to answer to me on those questions.
Awesome. I'll do my best.
You will hear the ring bell when those 10 seconds are over. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Like, I was born ready.
Just said that, yeah.
That's why we were great together. When two people are born ready, then just come on. Okay. So here goes. First question: why mindset is the key?
Yeah, so mindset is really important, because when it comes to creating anything in your life, but focusing on business, you can learn marketing tools and business tools, strategies, but this is really the strategy, the how level. This is not a brain. It's not so difficult, so to learn about the hows. It's really, really easy. But the mindset part is really, this is what gets in the way sometimes, when your mindset is not aligned when you have, limiting beliefs, and you cannot scale your impact because you don't believe that you are capable of scaling your business or something like that.
Yeah,
This
you
is
are
when the mindset, gets in the way. And it's the personal development part. It's about identity, it's about beliefs, and it's really important to work on.
I was watching over there.
Almost.
Finally someone said it. I mean, I'm telling that to people like 5 years now. You know, that's why I'm a personal growth and business coach. You cannot be successful in business if you are not in peace with yourself and have the right mindset to do that. If you're doubting yourself, I mean, there is just no way. And that's why the mindset is extremely important. And we all need to work on that. I mean, I work on that every day. That's the crucial thing for success. People are learning tons of different things, technologies, no, you will not succeed in automatization of an email marketing strategy if you don't believe that's the way to go, if you don't feel that's your path. Okay.
Absolutely. I
Second
agree.
question: what it takes to have a disruptive mindset?
Disruptive mindset is mainly about, challenging the status quo. It's thinking outside the box. It's creating innovation, and creating innovation that fosters creativity. And this is how you live up to your full potential. So it's about really thinking outside the box and questioning everything and having an open mind, right? So, for example, everything that is, I think Steve Jobs was talking about this, that everything around you was created by people who were not smarter than you. So this is the disruptive mindset, that you can change everything, you can question everything. This is the table, this is a laptop, but this is not the way how it should look like, in 10 years time or in the future. This is how you can create value. And disruptors just think about creating value and not competing because they are creating something completely new,
different. Yeah. I love to say that actually all complete civilization is created by people who were not smarter than us. So it's time for a change. It's time for a change.
This is so important to understand. And really, in architecture, I always think back of architecture, because in architecture, you have an idea, and everything comes from a thought. Everything comes from an imagination. So, Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge, because you can think about anything.
Yes.
This is the disruptive mindset.
You can create anything.
You can create anything you want.
Yes. Just people are afraid. People are afraid. And that's why people like you are needed to eliminate those fears. But except for the fears, I believe there are a lot of limiting beliefs. So tell me a few tips how we can deal with that.
So beliefs are really important topics, because beliefs are the truth held by someone. So belief is something someone accepted to be truth in their lives, and beliefs are created by past experiences or knowledge or information that you heard about or acquired in the past. So it's really important to understand that belief is something that you accepted to be your truth, but it's not the truth. I mean, a belief is true for you. So, for example, to give you an example, when I learned about entrepreneurship, I had a belief that in order to become a successful entrepreneur, I need to have a certificate in entrepreneurship, or a degree. At least I had the belief that I needed to learn something about entrepreneurship, like a university degree or something. So this was a limiting belief, because I started to look for universities where I could learn about entrepreneurship, right? And there is a very important statement that every action is belief driven. So if you feel that you are not doing the right things, or it's driven by a belief that you hold, and it can hold you back. So it can be a disempowering belief, for example. as my example with this entrepreneurship, you know, and the first step is to create awareness around these beliefs. So how do you do this? You focus on the actions, because you want to have a different action or behavior in your life. So what's the statement? Your action is driven by your beliefs. So if you want to change your action, for example, you want to stop eating chocolate in the evening, like what is the belief that is driving this behavior or action? You can think about the belief, oh, I want to reward myself after a hard working day, you know, and this is my belief that, you know, I need to, or I should reward myself after a hard day, right? And so this is how you get aware of that belief that is driving that behavior, and then you can question that belief. So most importantly, we don't question our beliefs, we accept them. But when you get aware of a belief, then you can question it. Is this belief true? What is this belief based on? What's the fact that this belief is based on? So, you know, you might have heard about something in the past or an information. It might have something, you know, and you accepted it as a truth, but it's not the truth. It's just a belief you accepted. And 10 years after, you're thinking about, you know, why can't I just start my business? Why do I have this fear or something like that? And this is how you can change that belief. So basically, first step is becoming aware, and then question a belief, and then you can choose a new belief. So for example, I want to believe that starting a business is really easy. And then, very important, you can look for evidence to back up this belief in your external world. So you can, you know, read biographies of successful entrepreneurs, and you realize that, you know, Steve Jobs just was a college dropout and he created, you know, Apple. You don't need a degree or whatever you thought was true for yourself. Okay?
And I didn't want to interrupt you because I wanted to hear it all. And I will tell you one thing. I actually have a degree. I graduated in College of Economics, which cover entrepreneurship also. And, you know, but to be honest, I went on hypnotherapy with Marissa Peer because
Yeah.
I couldn't find those beliefs all by myself. And I knew there has to be something which is stopping me to show all my potential. And when that woman started to dig in my past, those were all silly situations. But I understood what happened. I understood what belief was created from that situation, and that I held that belief for so long. And it's actually funny because it doesn't even exist anymore. I don't live there anymore. I don't live with those people anymore. And I was just,
Wow.
seriously? And to be honest, and to confirm your answer, my business started to expand exponentially after this, after I understood what were my limiting beliefs. And then that, you know, I'm actually a very cool person and I don't have that anymore. And then people can see that, people can hear that, people can feel that. And they approach to you. And that's the most beautiful thing. So I did have my personal growth journey for very, very long and very serious. And I can stand firmly with all my credentials that it is a must if you want to succeed in business. Otherwise, you will struggle and just survive, and that's not it. Okay, tell us a little bit about your magic. What do you plan for the new year? The new decade, actually.
You mean Mindset Horizon and with Mindset Horizon?
Do you have any ideas which you would like to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is all about scaling the podcast. So I really want to, you know, inspire people with this content and with the podcast to think outside the box, you know, to expand their horizons and you know, create what they really want in their lives. And I really want to scale this podcast into something bigger. So next year, I'm already thinking about creating a team around it. So this is something I wanna focus on very much. Besides the coaching, but coaching, is a one-on-one thing at the moment. I wanna teach people also. So I'm thinking about workshops and creating events.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Vienna or Budapest at the moment, and then we will see. With the podcast, most of my guests are from the US, some of them from Australia, and yeah, I'm also applying for a podcast to talk about mindset and coaching mainly because I was in this field, and we will see where I will get, because I'm interested in therapy. We were talking about limiting beliefs, which is in coaching, for example, we don't work directly with limiting beliefs. For example, when it comes to limiting beliefs, we have a trick, and it's called the as if shift. So when someone says, I have a limiting belief or a blockage, we say, okay, just let's suppose for a moment that you could put this limiting belief into a box. Let's close it down. And then, so what do you want to create that is really important in your life? Because people, sometimes have a wall in front of them, and this can be a belief or something, and they just can't move forward. And in coaching, we want to move forward, and we don't work directly with beliefs. And there was actually one person I worked with in the past, and she kept telling me that she has a blockage. And when this trick as if shift that put this blockage into a box doesn't really work, that person might need therapy or other kind of thing. They might want to understand their past, maybe there's a trauma or something like that. But coaching is more like, okay, let's imagine. It's more about the imagination, and put it into a box and close it down. And so
you know what I did? I had a backpack of those things. And I actually wrote them all down.
Yeah,
I put it in the backpack, but seriously, and then I went and threw it away. So that was a ceremony. I wrote it all down. I put it in the backpack, and I just threw it away and said, adio, it's just finito. I am not dealing with this anymore. So yeah, definitely.
It's happening in the mind, and that's why the mind is so powerful. Because
I speak to a lot of people. And every single person who is really successful in business online works on the mindset every single day. I even wrote an article that mindset is the key, which was published, and that is something that will change life in any kind of form and any kind of way. That is the core. And if we try to build something and we don't have a firm foundation in ourselves and strong belief in ourselves, people will feel that and we're done. So I absolutely agree with you about all of this. Just tell us where people can find you, how they can reach out to you, and if you have a kind of a free gift for them. You mentioned your ebook and so on.
Yeah, so the best place to go is my website. It's mindsethorizon.com, and I'm available on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But people can find those social media buttons on my website. It's again mindsethorizon.com, or on iTunes, Stitchers, everywhere. The Mindset Horizon podcast. You can look up and tune in. I'm glad to hear more about these people. And yes, I have a free ebook for people who want to work on their mindset. It's free, available, and it's a short description of how mindset works, and mainly belief systems, and how someone can use one tool there in the free ebook to get rid of limiting beliefs.
Wonderful. I will drop the link in the comments below. Thank you so much for being my guest, for shining your light.
Thank you.
I'm very happy and honored to have you here and to share your message. And guys, you heard, you need to find the podcast, and you need to find Tibor because he is really awesome, and you will definitely benefit from his content and from his, he is just a wise young man who is sharing his light, and he will really help you if you need that. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.